Welcome to Come to the Brink. I'm Zoe Flowers, and this is a space for those of us navigating profound life changes like loss, trauma, caregiving, and transformation. It's about what happens when everything you thought was solid crumbles beneath you and you're forced to rebuild. If you've ever felt like you're standing on the brink, this is the space for you. Welcome. Energy has been established the world over as the unifying principle. Without energy, there can be no mind or body. From energy, the body, mind is created. The entire universe is created from spirit and will return again to pure spirit. We are the passengers on this greatest of journeys. Spirit takes many forms while in essence remaining the same. Just as water is liquid as it flows downstream, as it heats and gently rises, and solid as a rock when frozen, its appearance changes, but it remains water. The universe and the people in it can be viewed in a diversity of forms: young, old, man, short, tall, black, white, woman, graduate, laborer, animal, tree, the good, the convicted, holy, ignorant, the list goes on. Applying names to thought and form helps us grasp the vastness of creation, but it can also limit our perceptions of reality. I am a woman, therefore I am not a man, or a plant, or the sun. Yet this concept of who I am, a woman, teacher, and therapist, masks my very nature. From within myself as woman, I find man, tree, and sun. And within each of these three, I find myself. We are all the same spirit manifest in different forms. There is no separation between spirit and matter. Matter is simply a continuation of spirit. So welcome back to Come to the Brink. I'm Zoe Flowers, and this is a space where we talk about the moments that shake us, the roles we take on, the expectations that weigh on us, and the grief that lingers beneath it all. Today, I'm sitting with Sophia Hendricks. It's so funny, I almost said my name as introducing you. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that makes so much sense. I think of me and I think of you. Sophia is the only person on the planet at this moment in time that's known me my entire life. Someone who, and I've watched her since we were little kids, spent her life trying to do the right thing, being a great wife, a mother, a daughter, and sister. I watched Sophia step into one of the hardest roles of her life, caretaking for her mother, while also tending to her own family. And so when I think about what it means to hold everyone else's needs, this is the person I wanted to talk to, because this is the person I've been watching the longest, probably as much as I watched my own mom. So yeah, let's dive into it. What do you want to say to the people to introduce yourself, Sophia Hendricks?
Hi, Zoe. Thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate it. I see myself in those ways, and it's sometimes hard to hear because, but I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah. Why is it hard to hear?
Because I'm not good at listening about the good things or the good things of me, or taking compliments. So,
yeah. Well, what do you think it means to take care of other folks? What does that mean to you?
I don't think there's any other explanation, or there's no other way. It's like, if you're able, you should do. And I think I've always had a caretaker spirit. I had to help raise my youngest sister when my parents got divorced, so it started then. And even before her, I had to raise my nephew when I was 12, who was calling me mommy when I was
Mm-hmm.
little. And I was always babysitting.
Yep.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
I think it was always just something that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's just a part of me.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when you look at sort of in order to step into that role, there are parts of ourselves that we have to ignore or put to the
Hmm.
side.
Hmm.
You think, if you think about it, what you might have put to the side to live into this role?
I think I put to the side not knowing like who I am, like really like me, who I really am, what I really like, what I really love, because I never had time for that stuff. So I had to put those things aside to find space to be the caretaker of whatever role that was in my life. So I had to kind of let those things go. And at the time, you don't think it's a bad thing because you're so busy going through the motions of caring for others that you don't realize you're letting yourself slip.
Mm,
And then when you do realize it's so far gone, depending
mm,
how long you're a caretaker.
hmm.
So, yeah.
And I think that's something that definitely, as women, definitely as Black women, these are things that are put on us for sure.
Hmm.
And there's definitely a hmm, price to pay for
Hmm.
living outside of
Hmm.
those norms and expectations. Do you think you picked up on that growing up, or do you think you were just so busy, like you said, you didn't even think about it? Like the price of not living up to those roles.
I didn't pick up on it until after the fact. Like
Mm,
after my mom passed away, my father passed away, and then I was left with all this time. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Because I was always doing so much.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like, and now my kids are grown too. So like I was doing all these things at once, all together.
yeah,
And then everything stopped almost at the same time too. So
yes,
that's when you're like, okay, what's next? Who am I? What do I like to do? You know what I mean? Because like not just being a caretaker, but I also have survived trauma. So trauma shaped me too. So trauma shifted me from the carefree girl because I like to look at pictures of myself as a little girl before trauma and I see real joy on my face and real happiness when I smile.
mhm,
And so that also shaped me as well. And probably that also helped make me want to be a caretaker because I'm also healing, like that little girl's healing someone else. And I didn't get the healing I needed. So I want to help somebody else too. I kind of think it goes hand in hand.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we both have had the experience of
Mm, mm,
caring
mm,
for moms who were
mm.
challenging.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, what do you want to say about that?
It was difficult. At the same time of it being difficult, I also had so much grace at the same time,
Yeah.
but it was challenging. And the
Yeah.
challenging thing about taking care of a difficult parent is if someone doesn't experience, they don't get it. So to complain about what
Yeah.
you're walking through, taking care of somebody that's sick, they're gonna look at you like, what is your problem? But they don't know how hard it is to try to take care of someone sometimes who doesn't want to be taken care of. You know what I mean? They're reminding you like you're the kid, I'm the child, the parent, you're the child, no matter what's going on. So strong-willed. You know what I mean? And just like, and if it's a bad day, you're the person that is going to get the bad, that, you're going to get that. And then, as hard as it was, and as much as I would cry and I would want to scream, and I'm like, I'm not going to call her for 2 days or whatever. The next morning, I'd be calling because I know it's just like, I felt awful for her. And then I'd be mad at myself for being mad. And I wanted so much to cultivate like a different experience that we
Oh,
could have together. I didn't want it to be like that. I
Yeah.
want it to be like what I read about and what I see on TV. And it wasn't always like that. It was a fight sometimes. And I would sometimes reach out and cry out, but I really don't think people really understood it, if they weren't walking through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They tried to, but I don't think they really got it.
Yeah. And
Mm,
I feel like, so I just want to say, one of the things I remembered was that time I called you. I had to
mm,
left the house because I was so
mm.
mad and I had just
Yeah.
driven around the corner to the
Mm.
park
Yeah. Yeah.
because I just had to get
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
But I was watching this movie this weekend, about this mother who was
Mm,
passing, and it was
mm,
called The List.
mm,
And she was dying, I think, of cancer.
mm,
And she had left a list for her daughter because she felt
mm,
like her daughter had gotten off track. So she
mm,
found this list that her daughter had when she was 13 years old of all
mm,
like her own bucket list, even though I hate that language,
mm,
bucket list.
mm,
And she was withholding the daughter's inheritance, which was the house.
mm,
The daughter didn't know that at the time, but
mm,
she gave everybody else in the family something except for the
mm,
daughter.
mm,
And the daughter had to fulfill, sorry, spoilers if y'all haven't watched this yet.
mm.
But the daughter, if you have, just fast forward. But the daughter had to fulfill all these things on the list, right?
Mm,
And then the mother had made DVDs for
mm,
every time she
mm,
did something.
mm,
And I was just sitting there, and this was Saturday.
mm,
And for a minute, I started to get sad
mm,
because I was like, oh, I wish my mother had done that for me.
mm,
Like, I wish that I had had that experience.
mm, mm.
And then I was like, no, girl, this is the Hollywood experience. I was like, this is like
Yeah.
maybe one or two
Yeah.
people have this
Mm-hmm.
experience. I'm like, but this is
Mm-hmm.
like the
Yeah.
Hollywood version of death.
Yeah.
But that is like what I wanted, like that heartfelt apology
Mm-hmm.
or those heartfelt conversations
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like something that I could just like hold on to move forward. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get that. I was getting
Mm-hmm.
cursed out right to the end. So
Mm-hmm.
she was not
Mm-hmm.
able to talk anymore. I was getting cursed out.
Mm-hmm.
So that I guess it's just taking people where they are, I guess. It's like,
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because I think that they see you, they're hurting.
yeah.
They want to do the things that they can no longer do. You're
Yes.
coming and going, you're living life and stuff, and they're not able to do the things they used to do. So you're the closest thing to them to be angry at because we're the ones they saw every day.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and then, I would tell other people, go see her because she's sick of seeing me. She'll be happy to see you, so she could get like other people around and have, be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And I know she was grateful.
Of
And,
course.
even if she couldn't express it to me, she would tell other people
Of
like she was
course.
grateful. Yeah.
Of
Like
course.
if I see people, oh my gosh, your mom talks about you all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but I know it was hard for her, and that's what, and I also know what her childhood was like
Yes.
and she worked so hard and she was angry. Like that's not the way she wanted to go. You know what I mean? She was still working at 73 and not had any ideas of retiring. She was still traveling and going on bus trips and stuff like that, very active. And that wasn't the path she wanted to be on. So I felt sorry for her for that too, because and I had to give her grace for that, her anger, but at the same time, sometimes those episodes were just not easy.
No.
Hmm.
No. And their generation
Hmm.
didn't have the benefit
Hmm.
of these kinds of conversations.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
That generation didn't have the benefit of saying, like when I think about my own mother, she
Hmm.
caretook for both of her parents, then her
Hmm.
brother,
Hmm.
right? And nobody stepped in and said, that's too much, Barbara. Put that
Hmm.
down.
Hmm.
They just kept putting weight on her and kept putting weight on
Hmm.
her shoulders and kept putting weight on her
Hmm.
shoulders. And then at the last days of her life, years of her life, nobody was around.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And both of our moms took in people. Both of our moms were
Mm-hmm.
extremely
Mm-hmm.
generous. Both of our, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have to imagine too to just like come to the end
Mm-hmm.
and the people you thought would be there weren't there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times when she just would sit there, because I would be like, Ma, just come over so you're not sitting here by yourself all day. And she would say no sometimes. I think in the end, like she was depressed. And I think she knew her last days were coming because I heard from a friend afterwards that she knew that she was very sick, but she never told me.
Mm,
But I thought she probably did sit there and think of like her life
yeah,
and like all the people that came and went in her life.
yeah,
And like there were not many people in the end that were coming and going and coming by to see her. And that did make me, I would think that there would have been more people around.
yeah,
And I always try to give those people grace too, because you think that maybe it was too much for them. They couldn't see her in that way,
mm,
or whatever reasoning they might have. But at the same token, I think for us, how difficult was it for you and I to see our moms in that way? It
yeah,
was very difficult for me to see my mom every day deteriorate from the strong woman that she was into that feeble being. And she knew, I found out from someone else that she knew it was hard for me. I guess maybe she could see it, even though I didn't want to show it. Um, but it was, she was so independent. And I knew when things were getting bad is when she finally told me I could do something without a fight. And she was just letting me do things she wouldn't normally let me do.
yeah,
So I was like, okay, but yeah, that part was difficult. I just had a different vision of what it was going to be like.
yeah,
So it was hard. Yeah.
here. Same here. I
Yeah.
think when you're a parent, and listen, even our fathers were big characters,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. 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 Yeah. There was a time when I was a caregiver for my mom and my dad. My father ended up getting sick, and as I was caring for my mom, he called and said he asked me to jump in and take care of him too.
Yeah,
And I was doing the both of them at the same time.
yep,
The difference was is their personalities. My parents are so different.
yeah,
My mom was so strong-willed and my father so zen, peace, love, and
yeah,
and so the caregiving was so different. And even though my relationship with my dad was different because of how him leaving the home and it was fractured and we came together later as an adult, but it still wasn't like, that same, daddy daughter relationship. Taking care of him was easy because he
mm,
was just so different and he was just so grateful for every little thing. Nothing was a fight, nothing was a struggle. He was just happy that I was there and doing what I could. And so it was is a contrast between the two. And you know, but I was happy that part became difficult juggling both of them because he had COPD
yeah,
and she had cancer. He had a lot of appointments and sometimes I had to choose. And sometimes I felt bad and that was a hard time.
yeah,
But we made it work.
yeah.
Mhm.
Do you feel like you got what you needed from that reunion with your father at the end of his life?
I reunited with him like before that, but
Yeah,
consistently for a year and a half.
yeah,
And I am happy that we had that. There were questions I asked him that he didn't answer, or I didn't get the answer I wanted, I should say. And
mm,
like you said, it's like the Hollywood answer, but
yeah,
I didn't get the Hollywood answer that
yeah,
I was expecting.
yeah,
It was more of whatever that I wasn't expected. I wanted to be based on me and him, not everything else, like our relationship.
mm,
But I learned a lot. And he did share some things with me, but I had to let it go. And I am grateful that we had that year and a half together.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sad about how it happened. Both my parents, one minute they were okay and the next day they weren't.
Yeah.
So there were things I wish I wish I had a more time because I didn't expect it to be like that. Um, by the time, but my dad, when he was unresponsive, he's unresponsive for like about 5 days or a week. And I know he could hear. So I would talk to him, and also my mom the same. Not that long though. She was only responsive like for a day.
Mm.
But both of them very quickly, fine today and not tomorrow. Like that does or if my mom was fine today and in the same day she was just unresponsive. There was no time to plan anything. And you think like if you know someone's sick, it's like easier, but it really isn't. Like, it doesn't make a difference if it's unexpected or because the unresponsiveness of them like that was unexpected. I didn't expect them to go when they went. So
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I also lost a brother unexpectedly in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same grief regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Yeah. It's definitely, it does not. Well, I think for me, I don't know, grief is funny, and I don't know. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this because, with my father, I had a phone call with him on a Friday, and the last words he said was, I love you, which he like never said.
mm,
And then the next morning he was dead.
mm,
Attack,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
But I was living in another state. I wasn't
mm-hmm,
seeing, you know what I mean? I just feel
mm-hmm,
like maybe with my mother, and I was younger,
mm-hmm,
and I didn't have like 4 years in of like being with him every
mm-hmm,
single day.
mm-hmm,
So that feels different, but I also feel like in some ways there's some things I don't remember
mm-hmm,
now.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know if that's the trauma
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
time. So what
mm-hmm.
do you think about that with sort of Robert's passing?
Mm-hmm.
D Are there things you don't remember about that time? Because I just wonder about grief, if it does something to the memory or does it still
Mm-hmm.
feel like very
Oh
present?
my gosh, Robert's passing feels like yesterday. I remember everything to like where I was, what happened when I pulled up to my mom's house where everybody was standing. I
Mm,
remember it so vivid.
mm,
Um, it was awful. It was like we lost like my grandfather before and he had left before his time too because of cancer, but he was older. We lost a childhood friend.
mhm,
Um, but losing Robert was like, I was so angry. I
mhm,
was so angry. But Robert knew, like he told us all along he wasn't going to live past 30 years old.
mhm,
And my brother, we were little over a year apart. And but yeah, I remember the phone call I got at work from my aunt that wouldn't tell me anything, but told me just go to my mom's. And I remember my mom running out the house with Robert's things because the police had to bring his things to her so she could say if it was him or not. I remember going to the funeral home with Oliver when we had to ID the body. Like I remember everything about it.
mhm,
Yeah, I
mhm.
do. Hmm.
I don't know if this will stay in the recording, but I hopped onto Catherine's live today.
Hmm.
If it does stay on the recording, check out Druid Rising on Instagram. Um, he came in the room
He's always there.
and she said he gave me a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah. He is always there every day. And I'm mad because my Instagram is not giving me notifications anymore. And I forget while I'm at work. And then I'll look up, I'm like, oh my
Catherine?
gosh. Yeah, but yeah, he's there all the time. Even
Yeah.
at the Reiki thing I wanted to invite you to, he popped in on that.
Well, he came in,
Mhm.
she said he kissed me on the forehead.
Mhm.
And then I said to her, well, I'm interviewing. And so then she gave the rundown of like how he always shows up, how he's a part of the gang.
Mhm.
And and our connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, said to her,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm interviewing Sophia tonight at six
Mm-hmm.
o'clock. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, maybe that's why he
Mm-hmm.
rolled up. Yep. He
Mm-hmm.
rolled up. He gave me a kiss on the forehead and he
Yeah.
talked about shining our light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
talked about shining our light.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he definitely was a light. If I would want to shine a light, it would definitely be on his behalf. Because he was the glue. Like he loved to be like, the life, the party, he wanted us all to get together. So I would definitely wouldn't expect any less from him, but to say that, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess maybe he wanted to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, welcome.
Mhm.
We welcome you.
Yeah, but I like with your dad telling you that he loved you. It wasn't when my mom was passing, but like when she was sick one day when I went there to clean the house, because I was like going over there every day to like wash the dishes, clean up, she stopped doing that.
Yep.
And one day when I went there, she said, I love you, and I was leaving.
Wow.
And that day I called Rachel. I was like, I don't think my mom is going to be with us that much longer. I was like, I got to do all the things that I can before she leaves. And I started planning all these little core memory things for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I didn't know she loved me. It was just
Mm-hmm.
that my mom didn't say I love you. She just did it
Yeah.
in action.
Same.
Yeah, you knew
Yeah.
you were loved.
Yeah.
But for her to just say those words that day when I was leaving, it like took me aback. Like I stopped in my tracks, like I was walking out her bedroom door.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah.
And then with my dad, he told me, I'm not afraid to go. He let me know. He goes, I'm not scared, right? Like he let me know that he wasn't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. It was like different contrasts, like because I feel like my mom would have fought to the end.
Same.
Like we kept telling her, like even one time, Janae, which is my daughter, who's her granddaughter, told her like, Grandma, like, no, Mom, you don't think that's too much? Like the last treatments that she got, and she was offended by that
Mm-hmm.
because she was like, don't ask me that. Like she would have done anything they told her to do.
Mm-hmm.
And even I was like concerned with those last treatments, and I shared it with my siblings. I was like, I think this is too much with all the side effects and with everything else she's going on. And I kept asking her, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she did. So, yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah.
different, definitely different,
Yeah.
ends of life there when they were, going. I think I don't know if my dad knew because COVID came out. And I don't even know if he had a chance. There was one point where he kept saying he wanted to go home. And
Wow.
I was like, ooh, but
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, when my mother got her diagnosis, that first time she got the diagnosis,
Hmm.
and the doctor had asked her if she wanted to have surgery
Hmm.
because we didn't know it had spread.
Hmm.
And she said, I just want to go home and be with my real family.
Mm.
That was the first thing that came out of her mouth.
Mm. Mm.
And I said, well, you don't have to have like, what do you want to do?
Hmm.
And then she was like, what do you think I should do? I was like, oh my God, don't ask
Hmm.
me that. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I said, you should do what you want to do.
Hmm.
And then she was like, well, I guess I'll have the surgery. Like, that's
Hmm.
literally, she just was like resigned to it.
Hmm.
But then she never had the surgery, right?
Hmm.
And then she was gone a couple months later. But that's
Hmm.
what she wanted to do. She wanted to go home. She wanted to be with her family. She wanted to be with her,
Hmm.
she wanted to be with her brothers, her husband, her parents. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
she wanted to be out of here.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to let them go on their own terms if that's what they want. And that's what the doctor was telling me. Like, you have to respect their wishes.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. With
yeah,
my father, I knew what he wanted. My mom, we had to pull it out of her because she was such
mm,
a fighter. She
yeah,
didn't even want to plan as if
yeah,
she was going. You know what I mean? Even in the hospital in the end, we were
yeah.
like, what do you want? Yeah.
Mine
Yeah.
either.
Hmm. Yeah.
right? It's kind of like we had to figure that stuff out.
Though the one thing we got out of her is she wanted to be buried. She wanted a funeral, and we ran with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
Mm-mm-mm. What do you think you've learned from this?
The first thing I'd say that I learned is that you really need to prepare for whatever life brings you, end of life, so that way who you leave behind, it's not that much work and guessing game for them when it comes to what you want, and they're prepared because you don't give them a lot to do, that gives you give them time to actually grieve and not have to figure out a lot. Because I don't like you know it's the reality, but you got to work because there's things to do that weren't done, and you're running around and you're rushing around to make decisions and things like that. So I would like to take that burden off of whoever's left behind when I go. Um, I think I learned, and I don't even know how you do that, like to share stories and try not to leave things unsaid, because I really wish there was so many more things I talked to my mom about that I really never even thought to ask her.
Mhm.
Um, she wasn't just my mom, and I wished I had asked all the questions. I knew like bits and pieces of her childhood and what happened to her, but
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about like her childhood, like her teenage years and this and that, and what did you
Yeah.
do? And we didn't ask those questions. It was just so busy with life. And this living, I became a mom early, so I was just doing my thing, she's doing her thing, but I wish we just had deeper conversations about things like that. Um, and I wish I had those conversations with my family so they don't have as many questions. I found a lot of things when she passed
Mhm.
that made me even more, like, gosh, because there was things I didn't even know she was feeling. I'm always looking at her like superwoman, and she's just like me, like how I'm doing right now, like not sharing things because you don't want to bother anybody. And I never saw my mom in that light. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this feeling was okay because you were feeling it too. And you didn't tell anyone because she was writing it down on paper. And so, and I don't know what else I would have learned from that experience. Is just like, I don't know, like you never know how you're going to act when you're sick. You don't know what you're going to feel, how you're going to
Mm.
be. But I just hope that if I am ever in that, I vow to myself that I would be the person that I thought I would be if I was sick, and try to do the things that I know I'm supposed to do, and don't things I'm not supposed to do. But you just don't know. You know what I
We
mean?
don't
We
know.
don't know, because I always felt like I was being the bad guy by telling her, don't do this, don't do that, trying to push her to do healthier things and do the things. And at one point then I was just like, let her live. And
Yeah.
if that's what she wants to do, let her do it.
Yep.
I didn't want to be a burden or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Like the doctor. I know there
yeah.
was one point where I just said to my mom, like, I don't want to be your doctor. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to be your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh
because
my
I'm like,
God. That part.
right? Because I'm
That
like
part.
buying the herbs and
Mm-hmm.
buying the this and buying the that. And it
Mm-hmm.
would just sit on the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get so frustrated. And then it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of clicked. And it really clicked after she
Mm-hmm.
died, where I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't care about all those things either. She just like wanted me to love her as a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just wanted that love.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was like I was showing that love by like getting
Doing.
the ver and I'd said to
Mm-hmm.
her, like, I'm trying to keep you here. Like I'd said that
Mm-hmm.
to her, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep you here, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the doctor. I just want to be
Mm-hmm.
your daughter.
That part, that was the hardest part, like looking back, like after everything. And I was like, I felt like I got robbed of just having a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
Like I didn't just get to lay at her feet and just come over and eat a meal and like just brush your hair. Like I would do that, but as a job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that makes me really sad when I think of that part of it because it was all part of do like gotta because I had somewhere else to go after this. And
Yeah.
there were times when I did sit and stay and just visit and we'd hang out. And you know, she went with me everywhere I went.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also times when I'm like, I had to stop there on the way to going somewhere else and on the
Mm-hmm.
way to doing this. And, you know, so it's just like I had to fit her into the day or whatever. And that would make me feel I felt guilt. I've never felt more guilty and more selfish in that time of
Mm-hmm.
being a caregiver. Because if I felt like I was going to try to do something, then I felt guilty or selfish because she was by herself and I
Yep.
should be doing that. It was just so difficult to balance all the things. But the part of just being the daughter and the mom
Mm-hmm.
that I missed. That part I grieve because I was more caretaker than a daughter, a
Yeah.
nurse, a doctor.
Yeah.
I had to remember other things. Her accountant, the banker,
Listen, you already
paying the
know.
bills, you're grocery shopping, you're the maid because you got to clean and you're all the things. Like, yeah. So there wasn't a lot of room left for anything else. And
Mhm.
that part's sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely
Mm-hmm.
remember like one of the last arguments that we actually had was that because she
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to come and like sit on the bed with her
Mm-hmm.
and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I can't do everything around the house
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then also kick it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, I just
Mm-hmm.
can't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was real,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I think that, I don't know, maybe the guilt is a natural part of caregiving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also feel that it is uh, on the onus of the adult to foster a different kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's on us as the children
Mm-hmm.
to foster the mother daughter, father daughter, father son relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
on the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, those are things that I would ponder when I was sitting in my room, sitting up
Mm-hmm.
in my
Mm-hmm.
room. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think that that it's okay to hold those
Mm-hmm.
complexities that
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but they did their best. They did probably more than their
Mm-hmm.
best, and also balls were dropped.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
And I'm always saying that no one gave that to her. So
yeah,
how did she know to give that to me or your mom to you?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. So if you were to have a message for folks out there, caregivers, um, what would it be before we move into a different part of the conversation?
I would say I would definitely find a support group or someone that because trying to deal with all this, like, and live and you have to work, you have your own home, you got to juggle your family and everything like that. Like, you need someone that you can be able to talk to and someone who's going to get it, that because not everybody's going to be walking through that journey at the same time, and they might not want, and not because they're being mean, but they got their own things going on and they might not get it, and they're not your therapist and they're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's actually when I started therapy, actually is when I became a caregiver because I
Same.
was going to lose it. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And that's when I started therapy and I had to learn boundaries because I had none.
Yeah.
And it really helped me. There were some things I was like, okay, I can't do that. Like, it's what I felt like it was a little too rough for
Yes.
me to do to my mom. But
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely have support. Yeah. And get support, find a support group. I don't know if there's like a support group for caregivers. There probably is, but I didn't know about it.
There is.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good idea. I need to start posting like some hotlines
Mm-hmm.
in the show notes so
Mm-hmm.
that that people can
Mm-hmm.
look for help
Mm-hmm.
if they need it. Um,
And also people praying for you is like if you could have people praying over you, praying for you, because I know that there was times all I could say was, God, please heal my mom. That was all the prayer I had in me. That's it. That was my prayer every day for a really long time. That was all I said. And I told people, like the people I knew that were truly praying, like, your prayers carried me because I didn't even have time to pray. And that was all I did was pray for her. So it's good if you have like people that you know and love and trust that are praying for you.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you now?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, how are you now?
So now I'm just like in a different phase. I probably
Mm,
need to go back to therapy
okay.
because I have so much free time.
Mm,
All my time that I had was spent with my mom. Like
hmm
every waking extra minute that I had, I would run over there, like to go
hmm
check on her. So I didn't know what to do with all the free time I had. So I did fall into like a depression. I would just come home from work and just throw myself in the bed.
hmm
I'm not doing that so much anymore as I used to, but I'm definitely still in the grieving process.
hmm
Just little things. And the reason why I say that I probably do need to, because I bottle it up. I don't really talk about it that much because I don't know if anybody, well, I know you will, but how many other people will really get it. The loss of your mom is just something totally different. Like, no matter what the difficulties of the relationship is, you've lost someone that loves you unconditionally, no matter how difficult it is, and knew you at your best, your worst, whatever. And no matter what was going on, like I call her every single day. Even if I
Right,
didn't talk to anybody else, I call my mom, you know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So that is like that just definitely shapes you and changes your world.
right.
Yeah, I do. I definitely have some work to do. And I know that I have some work to do, but each day, it just depends on the day. Like I never
Yeah,
know what day it's gonna bring. I have good days and I have bad days,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
I don't know if people like, because people will see you and think, you're having a good day and you're handling it well. So, like, if you're having a bad day, they're like, what's wrong with her? They might not understand or get it. But
yeah,
grief is like all the time. You just will
yeah,
never know when grief is going to hit you. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And it's so fresh and it can be, who knows how, you're never really over it.
No.
You learn to live, but yeah, I definitely have some work to do on myself. But I'm like on the path of like healing, um, because I know that, I'm not in denial of the work that I have to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Grieving, I mean, your mother, uh, it's yeah, I don't even know. I mean, it's and I think for us too, and we've definitely talked about this, we were like so close with our mothers
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's still days where I don't know what to do with myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
whole schedule is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what am I doing today?
Mm-hmm.
And
Because it was even simple as like, I'm going to the grocery store. You want to come just to get her out the house?
yes,
It was everything. Like
yeah,
any road trip I went on, she
come
was
on.
there.
Yeah,
So it's my whole
yeah.
schedule was juggling her appointments and my work and even before she was sick though, it
I was
wasn't
gonna
just
say,
because she
right?
was sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
It was
mean,
even before she was
yeah,
sick. Like she's in all the pictures. She's
yeah,
everywhere with us.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anywhere I went and I said, Ma, you want to go? She's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it wasn't just because she was sick. And that's how the relationship was fostered anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what also sets us apart too from other folks that they may not
Mhm.
understand. Like, what do you mean
Mhm.
you went to your mother's house every day? What do you mean you went to the rehab and
Every
stayed with
day.
her every
Mhm.
single day? Like, no
Mhm.
matter what. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, because they invested. They
Mhm.
they they put that time in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I just think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, but I've just come into contact with people where it's just like,
It's not the norm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So to be like you, and you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're gonna go upstate. Oh, do you mind if my mom comes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to Martha's Vineyard. Do you mind if my mom comes? Like,
Mm-hmm.
who's carting
Mm-hmm.
around
Yeah.
their 70
Mm-hmm.
and 80-year-old
Mm-hmm.
parents
Mm-hmm.
on girls' trips,
Yeah,
right?
but she
And,
came.
and
Mm-hmm.
family trips. But maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just how we were raised too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody was involved.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's like being 70s, 80s, growing,
Mm-hmm.
being that generation where everybody was involved. Everybody's piling in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going everywhere together.
Mm-hmm. And culturally too.
Yeah, I
Like,
think culturally for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's what we saw.
yeah.
Like, nobody's told no. Like, they don't can't
No,
stay. There's always a place to stay.
yeah.
Like, you tell
Everybody,
nobody no.
yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's going out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going home because now we're going out to dinner as a
Mm-hmm.
family. No, bring them
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And my mom really wanted to cultivate family. She loved having people around her.
yeah, mine too.
So many, not just her own kids, her chosen children and grandchildren, and
Yeah.
just like, so that's who she was,
Yeah.
you know.
And now you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah.
grandchildren,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody else's children coming and kicking it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, she was special, definitely one of a kind in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So if you thought about something that you might want to reclaim at this point in your life, what do you think you want to reclaim?
If I want to reclaim something in my
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
honestly, if I could go back to my 12 years old, like
Mm.
I I would want to reclaim that part of my life so and see what my life would have been like if, you know, I always think about that. Like, who would I be?
Mm.
You know what I mean? How would my life have shaped out differently? Um, I would like to reclaim that power, that part of me that was
Mm.
taken from me, you know?
Mm.
Um, so I think about that. That's something I definitely need to work on and
Mm.
heal.
I know
Yeah.
somebody. You know how they
Hmm.
say, I know a guy,
Yeah, yeah,
I know a
yeah,
girl.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know somebody. I had
Mm-hmm.
an amazing soul retrieval
Mm-hmm.
on the equinox.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Miranda, shout out to Amy Miranda. She did a soul retrieval with me, and my 7-year-old self showed up and came back. My
Mm-hmm.
13-year-old self came back,
Mm-hmm.
and my 22-year-old self came back.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about this ritual, for anybody listening, is so parts of ourself depart when we go through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And she said my 7-year-old just like didn't want to I just really didn't want to be like involved in like school and stuff like that. So I kind of just like, or I guess kindergarten or whatever was happening. So I just like ducked out. I
Mm-hmm.
just like she said I might have just gone and just crawled out the window one day and that
Mm-hmm.
because these parts of ourselves just kind of split off
Mm-hmm.
and go and just like hang out
Mm-hmm.
around us until we're ready to reclaim them.
Mm-hmm.
So, my 13-year-old self, she said there was a lot of sadness, which makes
Mm-hmm.
sense because of the
Mm-hmm.
things that were happening at that time. And so, and then my 22-year-old self, you already know what was going on when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, so what she does is she takes you through this ceremony with music, with the drum, with
Mm-hmm.
song.
Mm-hmm.
I went to sleep. She just started banging that drum and she started
Mm-hmm.
singing. And the next thing you know, she was like, Zoe, wake up. It was like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes and she, I guess, meets these other versions of yourself. And then she invites them back. And then they come back with the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then she invites them to come back into my body, into this
Mm-hmm.
like I'm banging my body, people.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the process takes like 6 months to a year for full integration,
Mm-hmm.
but I already feel the vitality coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I started this podcast a week later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend
Yeah.
soul retrieval because I've never
Mm-hmm.
had that. And I've done a lot of stuff, but that I
Yeah, yeah.
haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she said like the 7-year-old like is very active. The 7-year-old like runs the show and she
Mm-hmm.
just wants to play. Because again, that's one of the things that gets stripped from us with trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that play,
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah.
that essence of who we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
gone. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
hanging out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
So little Sophia is like hanging out
Mm-hmm.
somewhere waiting for you to call her
Mm-hmm.
back.
Yeah, I had a similar, not that, but one of the therapists that I went to would always have me like my people like sit next to me, like the people that had to curate to survive through trauma, whatever, and like and and how those people help shape me get to here and how
Yeah.
you have to invite them back in and not it's not a bad thing because they help carry you,
Yes.
to where you are today.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's a little sort of different, but
Yeah.
mhm,
Well, I'm excited to see 12-year-old you.
mhm.
I feel like we got some of it at Alvin Ailey.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did.
We got
Yeah,
a little taste in ballet
yeah.
class,
Hmm.
but I'm excited for that. Is there anything else that you want to say as we come to a close? Anything you want to leave the people with?
I just want to acknowledge anybody that is a caretaker and recognize the realness and the hardness of it and to know that you're not alone. And we recognize what a job and a work it is and that you are your parents or whoever you're taking care of, even if they can't express it, they appreciate it and don't give up. Reach out to someone if you're struggling, but you're a blessing to those around you that you're helping. And it's a blessing to you too. Like there's good in the bad.
That's
And
right.
like,
That's
because
right.
even in there's days where, it was really good to be there and we had good days and good laughs and all that. So I wouldn't trade any of that for anything, but
Absolutely.
you know, don't
Yeah.
give up. Yeah.
It's an honor.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah, it
truly an
is.
honor.
Truly.
Mhm.
Truly. Hmm. Yeah.
Ah, this was good. We did it.
Yeah, we did.
Minimal tears.
Yeah, we did.
We did it with minimal tears. Yay! I'm
Yeah.
so excited. And I just know that this is going to give the folks what they want.
Mhm.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you to you, Sophia Hendricks, for your existence, for your energy, for being who you are. And next time on Come to the Brink, we're going to dive into a different kind of grief.
Mhm.
We're going to dive into the grief of holding multiple identities in one body.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
going to be looking at what happens when the identities we carry are in conflict, when we come from histories of colonization, racism, and attempted erasure. All right.
Mhm.
When the world tells us to choose one version of ourselves, how do we deal with that? How do we honor all parts of who we are,
Mhm.
even when those parts feel like they're literally at war?
Mhm.
So we're going to be talking about that next week. So make sure that you're subscribed. We're now every week. And yeah, meet us here because
Mhm.
nobody deserves to be on the brink alone. I'm Zoe Flowers, and I'll see you next time. Bye.